Hello traders, how are we? Merry Christmas. For those of you who, I was going to say support Christmas. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas. Hope you're all well, guys. Hope you're having a good trading week so far. And we have got an action-packed show, right? We're going to do the usual where I show you trades that I am currently in. There's a couple of old trades in there, Euro Swiss franc buys and Canadian dollar Swiss franc buys. But I also entered this Euro Canadian dollar sell trade this week, right? Actually yesterday. So we're going to take a look at all of those. But also we have got a couple of things to go through. So first of all, guys, we are going to do the $5,000 giveaway, and I'm going to show you exactly how to enter and be in with a chance of winning that, guys. All right, so I'll show you that during our live stream. As it's Christmas, I'm also going to give you a Christmas present, right? And I'm going to explain how you can claim your Christmas present. I feel like Santa Claus, but without the beard or the red jacket. It will just be too hot in Dubai. So yeah, again, I'm going to show you how to do that as well, guys. And finally, we're going to take as many of your questions as possible, guys. All right, so don't be shy. Come say hello, leave a question, ask me anything you like about trading. And I'm also doing a pub quiz tonight. So you can literally ask me about anything, test my pub quiz knowledge as well. So yeah, that's what we're going to do, guys. So strap in, put your crash helmet on. Let's do this. I guess we should start today, guys, by looking at the economic calendar, because it is one of those days where news is just flying at us, right? So earlier on, we had average earnings and claimant change and employment rate earlier on coming out of the UK, right? That was ultimately bullish, right? Then we had a lot of PMI data, you know, services, manufacturing, composite PMI. And that was pretty bad for the euro, although we didn't really see any euro weakness, right? We haven't. And then we've seen more positive news for the pound as well. So more PMI data, but for the pound this time. So we've seen a really strong pound today. But those negative figures for the euro haven't affected the euro, right? So we'll take a look at that, guys, right? Also, very important, we have a shed load of news coming out later as well, right? We've got average hourly earnings, we've got core retail sales, but more importantly, guys, we've got NFPs, right? We've got non-farm payrolls, we've got retail sales, we've got the unemployment rate. After that, we got PMI data. So the US dollar, you know, there's so much news coming out, right? You just need to be aware of that, especially if you're in a US dollar pair. I'm not. For this very reason. Well, also, I didn't like any US dollar pairs, but, you know, this could really dictate where the US dollar goes. All right. So, yeah, worth pointing that out. If we look at this, you know, if we look at the euro across any pair, right, you know, there's been no weakness, right? Those euro numbers were pretty bad, and the euro has just, you know, shaken those numbers off. Whereas if you look at the pound, guys, right, it has been crazy strong, right? Crazy strong. Look at pound Aussie dollar, right? So yeah, we're seeing some real pound strength. But that doesn't affect my trade, right? I am in Euro Canadian dollar, and I didn't want to see any euro strength, to be quite honest. So yeah, let's start here, guys. Let me show you a trade that I literally got into yesterday, right? And it's Euro Canadian dollar. And if we start with the day chart, because it's pretty much a daily entry, really, right? So as you can see, with Euro Canadian dollar, we was in this ranging market, and then price has broken this level, what was once support becomes very good resistance, and we're back at that level, right? Now, at that level, just, we're just seeing all these top wicks, and we're seeing these wicks close back in one another, right? That, just by looking at the candle, is selling pressure, right? In the words of Gandalf, you shall not pass thus far. I don't know why I'm using old English. But yeah, so, that's what we're seeing, guys. And I actually entered this yesterday. Now, if we go to the H4, it was a daily entry, but using H4 information, right? Because if you look at the H4, we are in this uptrend, right? Hit that level once, hit it again, and then we got a bearish reaction, right? So started selling in here, stops up here, looking to get my 1:1. If I get that, or when I get that, right, we don't know the future, but if I get that, guys, I'll take some profit here and then let some profit run potentially down to here. So yeah, that's where we're at so far, right? So, I was thinking to myself this, guys, right? What I don't really want to see is a break of this level on the H4, right? So if we got a candle that looked like that, right, I would be thinking this is not what we want, right? I don't want a break of that level because it's holding. But, you could have a H4 candle that breaks this level, right? You could. And then at the end of the day, you have another bearish H4 candle, right? And this daily candle ends up looking like this. That is the most accurate candle I have ever drawn. And then if we do get this, then that is another wick that's closed back into these wicks, right? And that is absolutely fine for me. My stop's well out of the way, right? So, that's more what I will be focusing on rather than that H4 structure. So if we didn't get this candle with a top wick that closed back inside, and then we got, a bullish candle that looked like that, right, on the daily, then I might get out of this trade early, right? That suggests it does have a bit more room to the upside. So yeah, those are the things I am looking at, guys. And let me just show you one of my Swiss franc trades. So I'm in Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Here's the trade I'm in, right? Again, textbook break and retest, right? Break, retest, bullish candles. Let's see if we can take it higher. Stop well out of the way. But what I wanted to show you guys was Euro Swiss franc. Again, this is, right, sort of found a bit of resistance, broke it, retest of support, not this level, but actually this support level through here, right? And we've retested it. And then just look at the candles, bullish, right? And I've been in this trade for some time, but both of the Swiss franc trades have positive swaps, right? So we like this. I'm more keen to hold on to trades longer term, right, if the swaps are positive, right? And they are. Okay, so this Euro Swiss franc is what I'm in. And then if you go down to the H4, guys, right, what you'll see here is I've taken some profit off, right? Let me just do this again. Okay, so why have I taken some profit off? Well, we got this big, humongous bearish candle, right? Now you can see price was coming down, and I would say we're now in this uptrend, right? H4's in an uptrend. There's a bit of a level through here, right? So what I've done is the following. We saw this big bearish candle, right? Now I was nicely in profit here. I was about halfway to target, right? So I've closed 50% of my trade here, right? Secured some profit. This just makes me feel, well, not, it's the wrong way to describe it. Well, it's true. It makes me feel better about the trade because I've taken some profit and I'm not trading into this candle, right, with full strength. And because of these last H4 lows in here, I've moved my stop loss up to 0.9333, right? So I've taken some profit, reduced my risk on this Euro Swiss franc buy trade. And I think all traders should manage trades, right? Really should. Because it just helps you minimize risk and maximize R, right? Now, even if this trade just goes bang and hits profit, you'll be like, Tom, oh, you took 50% profit in here. Yeah, but this is still a positive result for me, right? If we come up here, I might take 25% of the trade off, right? And let the last 25% run, right? Okay. And then secondly, if this big bearish candle means price does go against you, perhaps it tests this last level here, and then we get another bullish candle in here, looks something like this, then I can re-add that 50% I took off, right? I can re-add it at a better price. I've already taken some profit. A new level has made itself known, right? So, the market is very fluid, right? It's like it is the most fluid thing you will ever witness apart from water. That's pretty fluid, right? Or me talking about Liverpool FC after a few beers down the pub, right? That's quite fluid. But jokes aside, guys, right? The market's constantly changing. So if you're seeing things going against your trade, why not take some profit and then reassess, and you can add that profit back on, or even if price does shoot off, it's only a winning scenario for you, right? So yeah, manage trades, guys. And if you want access to all of my tutorials on managing trades, then please come join our VIP Discord. All right. Right, let's say hello to a few people who are in the house. Eugene, how are you? Nicholas, hi. Jane, hi. Esso, nice to meet you again. Nice to meet you too. Mr. Billionaire, how are you? Dan the Gooner. We don't like Dan. He's a gooner. My brother's a gooner, and I don't like him either. Okay, I do like Dan the Gooner. I take it all back. Dan the Gooner has said, Tom, hi, Tom. I signed up for the VIP Discord over the weekend, and I'm very glad I did. Thank you, Dan the Gooner. I now like you again, although you do support Arsenal. Luigi, hi. AC Milan fan. S-Zone, funny. Thank you. Right, guys, let's I've shown you my trades. I'm going to take your questions, right? So get as many questions over to me as you can, guys, right? So while you think of some questions, I am going to show you how to enter the prize draw to win a $5,000 funded challenge, courtesy of Blueberry Funded, right? So what you need to do is the following. So we're also on TikTok here, right? So those of you on TikTok, you may not be able to see this, right? Bear with me 1 minute. So guys, in our Discord room, we have question of the day. So you need to join our Discord, right? Our Simply Forex Discord. And then you need to answer this question. So just leave your answer below, right? And we've already had some answers in here. And the question is this: what's one trading rule you used to believe in that experience forced you to abandon or change? So there was a rule you used to use, but you no longer use it because experience has told you that it's crap. All right. So yeah, if you want to be in with a shout of winning the $5,000 challenge, then please answer your question. You can see we're getting some questions in already. All right. So come do that on the Discord. And as always, guys, just come join the free Discord, right? Look, I share with you all of my trade ideas. Where are they? And these are my trade ideas for today, guys. This is what I am looking at. Right, I'm in CAD Swiss franc buy. I'm in all of these actually, right? And wanted to get into this trade as well. All right, so we'll see how that pans out. All right, guys. So yeah, get involved in the Discord. Yeah, and a little later on, guys, I'm also going to give you a Christmas present. Ho ho ho. Okay, so we got a question here from Dan the Gooner. Tom, how far back do you draw support and resistance zones? Is there a point where you say a level is too old? It's a good question, right? So somebody randomly give, actually, let's scrap that idea, right? Let's look at Euro Yen, right? Let's start with the weekly chart, right? Now, because, okay, this is probably a bad example. Let's have a look at, right, here we go. This is a good example. Right, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, right? You can see I've got all of my resistance levels in, right? Support and resistance levels, right? Now, obviously, on the weekly, when you get something like this happen, so you see price react here before, it reacted again in here, right? But you're aware of this level. But because this is the weekly, you've still gone back to November 11th, 24, right? You've still gone back a hell of a long time, but it's because you're on the weekly time frame. So the time frame that you're on does dictate how far you go back. And another important thing here is when you break one of these levels, right? So you can see we've broken this level. Then you're like, right, where the hell is the next resistance level in this uptrend? So in these examples where you've broken a very old resistance level, right? It's old. That's November 24 old, right? I wasn't even born. But then once you're up here, you have to go further back. You need to find some context to trade against. So if you scroll out, right, really the next piece of resistance up here, let me move this up here, guys. Really, the next piece of resistance is really kind of this level through here. You know, I'd even include that high. So there's really a bit of a level through there, right? So you've got this level and this level, and then you've got this level here, right? So, you know, you could put in another level, right? So it depends where you are in terms of price, right? You need to find context. And interestingly, right, when I'm in this situation, right, and your next piece of resistance is like, you know, light years away, really, okay, then all I'll do is use psychological levels. So I remember as part of my weekly forecast, this was actually 2 weeks ago, I just make the next psychological level my target. So this 113 was my target, right? Because you know, the resistance, the next resistance is, you know, light years away, really. So just make the next psychological level your level, right? Hits it, take profit, see what price does. And in this situation, that would have been a good idea, right? It's kind of reacted at that psychological level. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is, you know, if price, you know, like let's imagine we're taking a snapshot of the market here, right? Really, all you need to know, let's just say we're here, right? We are literally here. Let's go back in time, in fact. Right, let's say we're here. Then the only support and resistance levels that matter are these. This one, right? That's the last swing low, right? That's important. And then you've got these lows over here as well, right? You've got this low and you've got that low. I would include that, right? And you've already pinpointed this area of resistance from previous support and resistance over here. So that's all you're interested in. You know, you might have plotted, you know, but these are just not going to come into effect up here, right? So if I was here, price was right here, these are the only levels I'm interested in. And you've got to bear in mind this is weekly, so not even this level, just this level and this level. This is like your weekly range where you can take price to within that week, right? Then I would drop down to the day chart, right? And then, you know, we've got our weekly range where price could go to, right? But then on the daily, just looking at daily, what is it more likely to hit? Is it more likely to hit this or is it more likely to hit that? You know, and the answer is clear. It's more likely to hit this. So then I say to myself, where could price react from? And you can clearly see there's a level through here. Clearly, right? That is crystal clear. If you drag it left, it even matches up with this level here as well, right? So then I'd say, right, that I'm interested in that level. I would also be interested in this level. This would be my first target for my sell trade, right? So the levels are set, right? And this is clearly a sell trade. So if price came back up into here, I'd be interested to sell. This would be my first target, right? And then potentially leave some profit to run all the way back down to here. All right. And that's what I would be looking at. Let's just play it along, see how it plays out. Right. There you go. Right. It plays out as expected. Right. It did come up to this level, messed around a bit, but ultimately, you know, came back down to this level. And if not, all the way back down to this level. And then you can see at this level, right, buyers come back into the market and we're pushing off that level. You know, and that's another reason why you don't push your luck, right? If you're in this situation, you know, some traders will be like, right, this is where I'm going to start selling, Tom. This is my stop loss, right? And I want, you know, 1:4, right? And they're like, right, Tom, this is going to be my target. And I don't get out of bed for anything other than 1:4. Then I would say, well, stay in bed, you idiot. Right? Because, you know, I want 1:20 with every trade. You know, give me 1:20, I'll be over the moon. But the market tells you where you can take profit. The market is telling you you can take some profit here, right? And if it does break that level, it's telling you you can take some profit here, right? If you take profits down here, the market, for the want of a better word, doesn't give a you know. So trade the support and resistance levels. Not only are they good entry points, but they should be your targets, obviously, right? So yeah, Dan Laguna, I hope that helps. Yeah, good question. And also, guys, yeah, please get your questions over to me. Don't be scared. I don't bite. You can ask as many questions as you like. Can I also please ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and smash that like button right now while I have a drink. trying to filter my liver with as much water as possible before the Christmas holiday. I think you know what I mean. All right, guys. Yeah, and while I'm at it, if you haven't already, please come join our Discord. I showed you earlier. That's where we put all our trades. We have question of the day. We have other traders sharing knowledge. You can get access to all of my trades in terms of entry, etc. if you join the VIP. So come join our free Discord. Also, guys, please check out the website, www.simply-forex.com. On there, you can get access to all of our premium trading education. So there's something in there if you want to learn how to trade. If you don't bother. If you do, go check it out. And also, guys, if you sign up with our preferred broker, Pepperstone, we are going to give you the following. In fact, this is probably the perfect time to talk about my Christmas present. So, guys, if you want over 4 hours of a price action masterclass, then please check this out, guys. Just listen to this dead quickly and get involved. Merry Christmas, everyone. I want to give you a present. The present is my Price Action Pro Masterclass, jam-packed with over 4 hours of trading knowledge, skills, strategies, and tools that you need to succeed at trading. It's normally a paid course worth $200, but I'm gifting it to you for free. So how can I give this to you for free? Well, it's simple. We have partnered with two of the best Forex brokers in the industry, Axie and Pepperstone, and we will waiver the cost of the masterclass if you sign up with them. You just need to open a live account using our link, deposit whatever funds you like, and trade. It's as simple as that. You will then not only benefit from some of the best spreads, commissions, and swaps in the industry, but also a dedicated support team, and we will give you full access to the Price Action Pro Masterclass. Which broker you sign up with does depend on your geographical location, but all the information you need is in the video description below. This Christmas present is only available until the end of December. So what are you waiting for? Claim your present today. Right, back to the charts. Right, guys, have we got any more questions? Anyone coming in? S-Zone, your community is amazing. Thank you very much, S-Zone. I'm feeling the love today. We're getting a lot of positive vibes. S-Zone, nice setup. As always, Tom, thank you very much. Max, hello, Max. How are you? I think Max and I are in a few similar trades. So, guys, yeah, please give your questions over to me. Another trade I was interested in today was Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar sells, right? So why am I interested in this? Because of the following, right? Let me explain. Yeah. As you know, as traders, right, we look at the facts of the chart. So let me show you the facts of this chart, right? We are in a downtrend. It has become a little bit of a range here, right? It has. But ultimately, we are getting lower lows, lower highs, right? So we're in a downtrend, although price has found a range within this downtrend, right? Now, if you think about that, guys, right? If we're in a downtrend, then it makes more sense to come from the top of the range back down to the bottom, right? Taking advantage of this downward momentum. And that's what I'm looking to do, right? We've had this big wick rejection, but H4 was a little bit tricky because ultimately we are in a H4 uptrend, right? You can clearly see that, although we're kind of here now. So maybe it starts ranging here as well. So if price makes its way back up to the top of this range, I will become interested. You can see my alarm in here, right? So if that goes off, it just brings my attention to Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm not going to start trading it, but you know, if my alarm goes off and it pushes a little bit further, I may just take a sell trade here, put my stop well out of the way, probably higher than that. Or alternatively, you can see where my other alarm is. Maybe we get a break of this low, right? Yeah, a bit of a retest, and then we can start selling in here. You know, we'll probably take some profit at this point here and then let some profit run. So yeah, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, guys, I'm keeping an eye out on that for today as well. Let's take a quick look at Euro CAD, see how our trade is going. Not much happening. Like I say, guys, there is a lot of US dollar news. Will that impact Euro Canadian dollar? You know, not so much. So yeah, that's everything I'm looking at. Right, we've got some more questions coming in. Nero, I almost missed today's live stream. Nero, there will be punishment if people miss the live stream. Okay, I don't know what it is, but there you go. For Pello, right, what we've got here, for Pello wants to look at US dollar Swiss franc. From Aleco, sorry. Okay, so let's have a look at US dollar Swiss franc. We've got some other questions coming in as well. Hi, Louise. Lewis, sorry. Right, let's have a look at US dollar Swiss franc. This is a tricky one, right? Now let me show you. Well, okay, maybe not that tricky. Just looking at this, right? In fact, not tricky. Take that back. We're in a range, right? US dollar Swiss franc is doing between here and here, right? And you can see that we came up, hit this level. We've actually created a downtrend. So everything suggests that US dollar Swiss franc, after breaking this low, right, can make its way back down to the bottom of the range. That would be the trade, right? To sell US dollar Swiss franc, looking at this daily chart, right? No other trade makes sense. Okay. But let's take a quick look at the weekly as well. And that supports this idea, right? This has been ranging, right? Just bang, 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 bang. So big weekly candle, right? It suggests we can come back down to the bottom, right? So US dollar Swiss franc, I would say, is clearly a sell trade, right? Why it's potentially not a sell trade for me today is, you know, bullish candles, right? That suggests that price could come up before it comes down, right? Now, that could change, right? If we got a big bearish, even if we had a candle look like this, right? Bearish-ish, you know, that would suggest enough selling momentum back down to these lows, right? And I would aim for this 0.79 thousand psychological level. So yeah, US dollar Swiss franc is a sell trade, but you know, there is more US dollar news coming out than something that comes out a lot, right? That is, you know, is coming out more than Santa Claus this year, right? And he is busy. So yeah, I wouldn't touch any US dollar pair today, right? Let's just refresh everyone's, you know, mind. Look at all this. Look at that. Look at that. There's even more. Let me scroll down. Right? You know, crazy amounts of US dollar news. So yes, it's a sell trade. Would I touch it today? Probably not. Definitely not. If we look at the H4, you know, what's the H4 doing? What I do like here is that it's holding on to our smart river. So this is part of our price action indicator, right? And this is normally a pretty good area to start selling with that daily downtrend. So even on the H4, you know, we're seeing all of the right candles and what we want to see. So yeah, for Maleko, this is what I want to, yeah, this is everything I want to see for a sell trade. You know, we've got that room back down to here as well. It's just the news. Right. So what else are we in? Max loves the sell trade, the euro Canadian dollar sell trade. Good stuff, Max. I'm glad you like it. Let's see how it pans out. Okay, Max is holding onto his for a few months. So yeah, Max is more of a swing trader than I am. I'm more intraday. However, you know, I'm trading the 4-hour chart. I could be holding onto a trade for a week. You know, it's not unheard of, right? But I am an intraday trader, right? I can get 1 or 2 setups a day. So interesting. Louis Oosthuizen, the famous golfer, you know, the South African golfer, the famous golfer, he comes to Simply Forex for trading advice. This is wonderful. What else are we looking at? And Andrea Lesioberti. I said that in my Italian accent. Pound US dollar stronger. I don't like any US dollar pairs pretty much at the moment, right? We spoke about this pound strength earlier in the show, guys, right? And this pound strength, you know, has been strong, has been flying, right? And again, if we just understand why, yeah, we had good data coming out of the pound, coming out of the UK, sorry, and good data. Right, you compare that to euro data, which was pretty shocking. So that's why we're seeing all this pound strength. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. Daily is in an uptrend, right? Let's just, as always, let's look at the facts, right? My God, that's the worst line I've ever drawn, right? We are in an uptrend. Fact. Higher lows, higher highs, right? We're in an uptrend. In fact, this last high was held onto. We haven't broken that last high. That's important, right? So we're in an uptrend, but we're not getting higher highs, although let's see what today brings, right? Off the back of all of that, you know, good UK news. But, you know, do I want to start buying this up into these highs or even this level here? No, I don't, right? Now let's look at the weekly, you know, and this is ultimately a sell trade, right? If we look at this very broadly, right, this is what we're looking at, right? We are in a downtrend. We're getting lower highs. Well, these lows in here, we're getting lower lows, right? And not only that, we are back towards our smart river, and we're starting to see wicks close back into previous highs, right? That is a bit of a telltale sign, guys, right? I must say, if you see that, sellers are coming in, right? So although the daily is doing this, right, it's actually at a point on the weekly where I would be interested in selling. So straight away, you can see there's conflict here. And that's present across a lot of the US dollar pairs, this daily, weekly conflict. You know, let me show you another one. Let's look at euro US dollar, right? Now, on the weekly, I would say we are kind of just like this, right? It's very broad, but we're kind of ranging. We're not breaking this high, and this support's holding, right? So you've got to ask yourself, do you want to keep trading into this level, right? There probably is a little bit more room, at least up to this 1.18, right? Especially with this big bullish candle, right? There's a little bit more room here before I would look to sell. And then on the daily, it's an uptrend, right? We know this. You know, euro US dollar is more appealing to buy, you know, more of a buy trade, right? But do you want to start buying here, right? Your target's in here, stops below here. There's not a lot of value here. Maybe this, right? Start buying in here. That happened. Okay. You know, that would make sense. Maybe price comes back down. Let me just refresh my support and resistance. That happens. Okay, but still not interested in buying this up here. There was another one, Aussie dollar, US dollar, right? Again, if I show you the weekly, we are at a weekly high, right? And we've had a bit of a wick rejection here. Do I want to keep buying that? No, right? But the daily suggests I should, right? The daily's at a really nice level, really. Yeah, we're kind of in this big uptrend and we've retraced to a support level, right? Could we perhaps take that trade? Now, I'm not saying we couldn't take that trade, but because you're buying into a weekly resistance level and a weekly candle that has shown you that there are sellers, you know, do you really want to do it? Is the question. Of course we can, but do you really want to do it? And for me, it's a no. You know, the dollar's tricky at the moment. You know, this news today could really have, you know, give us a nice clear direction with dollar, because we're just not seeing one. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at, Andrea. Okay. Okay, Max is saying here the few month play is on Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. Okay, and sells, I assume. All right, so Max likes this as a monthly play, right? I agree, because I know the monthly candle is massively bearish. Look at this. Bang. Right? You know, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, big reaction at this level, big reaction at that level already, right? And, you know, what would make sense if this was the monthly chart would to sell back down to potentially this, you know, on the monthly, that is really the next piece of support. So this 1.12 psychological level makes sense. So I'm assuming this is what Max is seeing, and I totally agree with that. Not only that, right? You know, we're seeing more bearish candles, right? That's an inside candle. That's bearish. We're seeing more bearish candles come into the weekly chart, right? And on the daily, as I explained earlier, we have had, you know, a daily, well, we're in a daily downtrend, stroke range, right? So sells from up the top here, potentially back down to here, right? Even potentially back down to this 1 point, you know, this level in here. If not, that real monthly play back down to 1.12. If we can zoom out, you can see it there. This was actually a target I put in for I think it was a class or something that I did. Yeah, so there you go, guys. That's what I am looking at. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button and smash the like button. Remember, if you want a price action masterclass with over 4 hours of knowledge, strategies and tools, then please go check the link below in the video description, guys, right? It's a Christmas present from me to you. Also, guys, don't forget to join the Discord, answer the question of the day to be in with a chance of winning the $5,000 courtesy of Blueberry Funded. All right, so go check that all out, guys. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Have a great trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow, guys. We're still doing live streams this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But as from next week, guys, we shall see, right? It's Christmas, right? So we'll definitely be producing some YouTube vids, maybe a live stream. We shall see, but we'll keep you posted. All right, guys, see you tomorrow.